Hi, so today I'm going to be talking about the Anglo-Zanzibar conflict, which was an actual war that genuinely happened. And it's literally the shortest recorded war in history. And for the length that it happened, there were a significant amount of casualties. So let's get started. So, this guy, named Khalid, from Zanzibar, I think. He was giving a final ultimatum. He had been giving several others, but this was the final one. And this was given in August, and it demanded that he has to leave the palace he was in by 9 a.m. the next day. That night, Cave also demanded that all boats that were for military purposes had to leave the harbor because they were going to prepare for war, and so they needed this space. So the next morning at around 8 a.m., just literally an hour before the offer expired, well, Khaled sent this reply to Cave saying, "We have no intention of holding our flag, and we do not believe you would open fire on us." So Cave, who I don't think I mentioned it, he is the British guy. He responded in a very diplomatic style, especially considering the time, 19th century, that he had, and I quote, like, he had no desire to fire upon the place, but also, not unless you do as you are told, we shall certainly do so. So really saying, we do not want to fire on you guys, so yeah, but if you don't do as you're told, we may have to, but we don't want to. So, and it happened. And then here comes the conflict, the actual thing. That's a bit of a short-term background. So Cave never heard from Khalid again. And at 9 a.m., so 1 hour later, this order was given for all British ships in the harbor to start really just covering the place in bombs, really bombarding the place. And by 9:02, literally 2 minutes in, well, most of Khalid's artillery had been completely destroyed by the bombs. The wooden structure of the palaces, again, destroyed and collapsing. And there were people inside, around 3,000 people. And Khalid said he escaped through a back exit. So he really left his servants and his fighters to defend the palace alone, and he wasn't even there. So by 9:40, 40 minutes after the thing happened, the shelling had ceased, was no longer happening. And so the Sultan's flag was pulled down and the war ended. By war, it does really mean just bombarding, like bombing this one place, one palace, and one area. But hey, it's still considered a war. And it's, like I said, the shortest war in recorded history, which lasted literally 38 minutes. The casualty rate, like I mentioned this before, was of 500 people for Khalid's side. 500 people. Considering it lasted for 38 minutes, that is really impressive. I guess no, that's not the word. Significant, noteworthy. Yeah. So most of the killed or severely injured, it was because of explosive shells exploding nearby, and obviously other soldiers, like British ones, got injured, but not many. Khalid was by this point out of the way, not really a bother for the British, so they decided, the British, to install this pro-British Sultan Hamid on the throne of Zanzibar, and he would rule on the Queen's behalf for the next 6 years. By Queen, I do mean Victoria. Khalid, I mentioned he escaped before, and he did. He left with a small group of loyal followers to the German consulate. The British like it called because of his extradition a bunch of times, but that didn't stop him. He managed to get smuggled out of the country on October 2nd, and the German Navy took him to modern day Tanzania. Then, many years later, in 1916, the British invaded East Africa. There, they found Khalid and they captured him, and then they took him to St. Helena for exile. And he was serving time there, so like isolation and stuff, for a while, until he was then allowed to return to East Africa, where he died in 1927. And that is it. That is the Anglo-Zanzibar War. It's literally the shortest war in recorded history, and it literally took 38 minutes, and still 500 people died, mostly on the Zanzibar side. So that's literally, it's a really short video, but yeah. I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you found it interesting, and yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.